Welcome to this new Gamersyde Live. Tonight we are going to show you not one but two games. The first one is, as you can see, Crossing Souls, and the second one a bit later, Kingdom Come. I think there is a subtitle.
Deliverance.
I don't remember it. Deliverance. Okay, and as you can hear, and as usual, I'm joined by Driftwood, who is going to do most of the talking and all of the playing. Hi, Driftwood.
Hi, how are you?
Wow, I'm fine, I guess.
Good. So yeah, we're you have to time me for the first game, because I don't think that's the game that we're going to show the most. One reason is I don't want to spoil the game to those who might be interested, and second reason is if you're curious and you haven't heard anything about the game, if you own a PS4 or a PC, you can download the demo, and demo is available on Steam and Good Old Games on PC, and well, obviously in PSN for PS4. And it's basically the sequence I'm showing now. I'm trying to end it as quickly as possible so you can see what's next. But like I said, I don't want to show too much. It's a retro game, as you can see. There are a lot of references to well, everything that if you were born during the 80s or before the 80s, you know, in the type of music, the movies, the cartoons, and well, basically anything that's related to pop culture is in there. And you can hear the music and like it. So basically you're following a bunch of kids, just like in the Goonies or Stand By Me. And what maybe surprised me a bit about this game is that I'm skipping the dialogues as quickly as I can. What surprised me a bit is that I was expecting something along the lines of the Goonies, where basically it's all, well that ends well, and it's a bit different here. There are some dramatic events that I don't know if you're going to shed a tear or anything, but it's a bit more moving than I expected it to be, and the story is well, took me where I didn't expect maybe it to take me. Sometimes it's, maybe it's a bit all over the place, like they absolutely want to pay tribute to everything they love. So like I said, everything is in there, so maybe it can feel a bit forced in a way, and that you have one sequence that is Back to the Future, and so then you said, okay, what's going on in the story? Why is it happening? But overall, it's it's about 10 hours, a bit more. Could probably be a bit less if you don't just it's not open world. The beginning might let you think that there's some sort of freedom. There are a few things you can do in the town in the beginning, like side quest, more or less, that you don't get anything. There's no XP points or anything, but you can help a few people, but then it's pretty linear. I mean, you just basically follow the story, and things are going to well, the pace is getting faster as you progress into the game. So the beginning of the story, where everything starts, basically when they find this body here, and the guy, the Kevin was the little brother, Chris's little brother. Chris is the guy with the boy with the blue hair. He's found the body, and he called his friends, because it's very cool to actually see a body, and they're going to find a stone, and this is basically what starts everything. And you have these little cutscenes that I really enjoy too. Usually very short, but the way they made the cutscenes, it looks a lot like the cartoons I used to watch as a kid. So this is the, I think it's the duat stone, if I remember correctly. And there's something about it that like it takes your life away from you, so which is why the guy died basically. But Matt here, the blonde guy, is not just a geek, is a genius. So he can come up with crazy inventions, and is going to invent a sort of box thing that is going to hold the stone and be able to use it without being dangerous. But as you can imagine, things are not going to go as well as expected.
You're basically spoiling everything.
No, I'm not. I just, it's the premises of the story. So, and this is what I wanted to show. This is a game where there's, it's not like in the Goonies where it's a pirate story and everything is grounded into reality. It's, there are ghosts, there are paranormal activities basically, and you progress into the game. There are quite a lot of variety basically in terms of gameplay mechanics, and little gameplay sequences that will have you do things that you won't do another time. There are puzzles too. They're not too original or too difficult overall, but it's nice that they have that mix of everything that works so well. So you can see here that there are also things you can observe. Some things can be again, like I said, references to the 80s. Not so much here, I guess, but like take the bedroom in the beginning, Chris's bedroom. There's the Ghostbuster, of course, poster. There's some slime in the bedroom. There's also an NES. A Nintendo, actually the European versions, which I'm not sure is I don't know if it was the American and European version of the NES exactly the same, or was it like the Super NES? I
think so. I think it's the Super NES was different.
Okay,
That's
right.
certain. Let me check. I think so. I don't think the Famicom in Japan was completely different.
Okay, right.
But,
so then no problem, because that's the NES I know as a European. So I guess that's also the NES that Americans had at the time. So a combustible material with a nuclear power of 1.21 gigawatts. If that reminds you of anything. No, yeah.
Oh, the actual cartoons? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what I said before. You weren't praying.
Yeah, well, I wasn't listening. I was doing the stuff you didn't do before, like doing the live vignettes for the...
Oh, I actually asked Dafton to do it for me, and I guess...
You can cut on Dafton for anything.
I know, but I keep the faith. So that's where you realize that the Duat Stone is capable of showing another dimension where there are ghosts, and this precise location, it's cavemen and women. So then they switch, so you can see. But then Matt comes up with something that will allow everyone to see at the same time, because it's convenient. And then I'm going to show a bit of gameplay and maybe explain a bit if you really know. And the music is not always like, okay, that's the bad guys that you could also see in the demo. And I really like the music theme.
Yeah.
So it's not a good
is it always references all the time?
Yeah, it's a lot of that. So I guess some people might think it's like they overdid it, but yeah, it's a lot of references all the time.
Well, it's not like they're the first ones to do it, and it's starting to get a bit tiring, honestly.
But I didn't really mind. But
we opinions.
Yeah, I know.
As usual. You're usually more right than I am, so...
Oh, no, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that it really depends on you. I mean, I was more annoyed by some of the problems I had with the with gameplay sometimes, and like the game is not as responsive as it should be when you're asked to be very precise, and it doesn't happen a lot, but you know, towards the end of the game it becomes a little more challenging, I would say. And there's one boss, the one I'm showing in, you know, it's the second to last boss, so don't watch the video. Like I said, it's you know, it's spoilery.
Oh yeah, I saw that you posted a video called Annoying Boss.
Yeah, and it's spoilery because it's the second to last boss, and it's not going to show much. But I basically I think I won because I had enough lollipops to. That's the way you get your life back. I had like 10 of them, like the max you can have, and I basically spammed the button all the time. Every time I fell from you know, the platforms, and that was annoying. And the opening, well, it's not actually the opening credits because it's, you know, you play a little bit before that, but I think it looks pretty cool. And the music again, it's like Kung Fury.
Yeah, well, yeah. And this also, the colors and everything.
Yeah.
That's basically Kung Fury, well, and many 80s thing, but
yeah, and
the VHS and everything. Yeah, well, it's been done before. So 2 years ago, I would say, wow, that's awesome. Now it's like,
yeah, I guess. The thing what I like about the game is that it's an adventure game with you know, platforming elements and then puzzles and combat.
That's good. If the gameplay is good, I certainly don't mind the 80s throwback. So how long did you want to show this game?
Well, not a lot longer, not much longer. Just to be sure that we can show one or two things. Right, so you can switch between characters. Each have different abilities. Chris here can jump, and he has a baseball bat. Matt is the only one with well, a firearm basically, and he can also, like, it's not levitation, but it's hovering with his, you know, I don't know, like magic sneakers. Charlie here, she doesn't have a whip. It's actually a skipping rope, but she uses as a whip, like Indiana Jones, and she can do a few things with it. Big Joe is the you know, like he has more hearts than the others, and you know, he's
a strong guy.
Yeah, he's the strong guy, so it's good. And Kevin is basically useless because he can't do anything else other than you know, this. And
he can jump.
And fart. Well, yeah, he can jump. Yeah, sure. So that's the sort of, it's not open world, but but it's the neighborhood. In the beginning, you're free to wander around and to take a look at the neighbors and everything. So here you can see that a ghost is attacked by some other ghosts. So I'm taking Big Joe because, you know, is really tough. But you have to know that the different characters, they're independent, which means if you lose with one, you're going to lose with everyone. But if you switch before you don't have any hearts left, then you're going to keep playing. So you have to be careful with that. And I wanted to show you another reference here. So you can switch here between like normal mode to the other dimension where you can see the ghosts. And in this house, let's see if you know the movies or not. So can you figure out which movie this is? It's an easy one.
I don't know what I'm supposed to see that's about the movie.
Oh, the little girl. The little girl over there. I can show you a picture of her maybe, but I don't know if it'll up. The little girl on the TV. That's important.
Oh, it's an horror movie?
Yeah.
I know nothing about this.
So you know Poltergeist?
Well, I know the name obviously, but no, I've never seen it.
So and then you see.
I really don't like.
So like,
horror
you know,
movies.
First time you arrive, you know, you see that this guy is like jumping on this chair, and you see this cup, and then when you come back and you have the duet stone, you can see what's actually happening. And there are a few references about, you know, that like the bird is dead. Of course, there are references to the movie, and if you go and check the backyard, you're going to see that they're building a pool, which is also a reference to the movie. There's a famous pool scene in the movie if you've seen it. and things are like that, you know, like if you don't know, you're not going to pay attention, and I may have missed some of them, but if you do know, well, you're in for a treat if you enjoy it. Like I said, you know, there might be some who will think that it's too much of it, although, you know, like you know, the story and the characters, they don't feel like they're just copies of characters we know, including Chris and Matt and everyone. They have their own personal story and basically what's going on in their lives in the game is different from anything you've seen in the movies that are among the references. You know, it's not going to be another just oh, there's a boat, we need to find the treasure and everything. So I think that's it for Crossing Souls. Like I said, you know, there's a demo, so if you really want to try it, unless you have an Xbox One, in which case you won't be able to play it. But check the review and check the videos. Maybe avoid the boss, the annoying boss video, unless you want to see, you know, the game at its worst, and you know, that's not too bad because that's toward the end of the game, and the final boss is not that bad. You know, once you understand what you have to do and, you know, the different patterns, it's not annoying as this one. It's like the most annoying thing I've played in the game, that you can see in the article, basically.
All right. So do you want me to hide the screen?
Yeah, maybe.
All right. So go ahead. So yeah, we're going to switch to Kingdom Come Deliverance, which of course is a quite more ambitious game. Yeah,
with probably more problems than Crossing Souls. I don't know if you do. Do you want to keep recording, or do you stop recording to then start over?
Well, no, let's keep recording.
Okay. So, Kingdom Come Deliverance. So I haven't had time to I haven't had time to play. I haven't had time to find the proper settings, maybe to play correctly, or like, you know, with a steady 60 frames per second. I'm quite surprised that from what I've seen and what I've experienced, the lightning option is really demanding, and also there are 3 sliders for basically objects and LOD and grass, and this is also quite demanding if you decide to push them to the max. I wouldn't actually when you take the extra setting, basically they're not pushed to the max anyway, but even in, you know, intro setting, you're going to have to make a few compromises if you don't want to see a few drops. At least, you know, that's my experience in the game. So it's really the beginning. I'm hoping everything will go fine and I can show you what I've seen this in the afternoon. I played a little bit. I played the Xbox One version, so I could tell you about it. So it's going to start with with basically something a bit silly, like, you know, these are the friends of the, you know, the main character's friends, and they don't like one guy who's been, you know, saying that the king should be replaced by this other guy who seems to be the bad guy, basically. And the king is actually the son of Charles IV, I think, who was the best king ever. People loved him and everything. And of course, the son cannot actually live up to people's expectations, and of course, and so this guy who's called Deutsch, I think. I don't know if I don't know why he's called Dutch. Maybe he's German. I don't know. And they decide to throw manure at his house because, you know, he's an ass. But, you know, that seems a bit childish to me. And there's going to be the first, actually, depending on what you do before time, you have to fight someone with your fists, which, you know, as everything in the game, takes a bit of getting used to, because it's a bit well, different, I would say, than maybe the other games. And the way the character works, it's like the animation, the characters, you don't see the character, but you know, all the animations are there. There's body awareness, and you can see that the characters here, right? So basically, every movement you have is more or less, you know, it depends on the movement of the character. So which gives a bit, you know, like the feeling you have sometimes when you play GTA 5 with, you know, the first-person view. So it's sometimes a bit awkward in the way you move around.
Mm-hmm. And can you play in third person?
No, I can't. Yeah, it's just the one view.
Okay.
So you can see that it's all blue because I don't have stamina anymore. Like, you know, the yellow bar. Quite,
okay.
You know. And don't tell me it's... Okay. Okay, no, so we kicked their asses, but some woman arrived, so we have to run away because, of course, the guards might not enjoy it. I really like the look of the game, you know, the way it looks. It looks pretty realistic to me. It's not perfect by any means. You know, there's a pop-up and you know, level of detail issues. I guess even if you maxed out everything, but like I said, if you do, well, you probably want to play at 30 frames per second max and not 60, because you're going to have a lot of you know, drops if you don't. And but you know, the way the game looks, even though, you know, some things look better than others, I really like, I think it, you know, there's a real charm to it. And I like the realistic setting also. I find the cutscenes, the few cutscenes that I've seen, to be actually interesting to watch, even though, you know, it's not like they talk about crazy things that, you know, you're not going to become like the one, you know, like in your typical RPG where RPG, yeah, for example. But you know, I think the probably one of the problems story-wise is that the main character doesn't seem to be very charismatic. So, you know, might be a bit lacking in this respect. But other than that, you know, for so far, I haven't encountered any bugs, and I know that it's one of the few.
RM London saying you want that fight much quicker than in the Gamersyde videos, been practicing.
I have no idea. I'm very surprised that I know that the game has been has received a patch for, like, you know, 40 megas, so it's not like it's going to be a real game changer, but maybe they tweaked a few things, because one of the problems you have in the beginning, there's this guy Kanesh, I can't remember exactly his name, and he owes your father money, and and basically you can go and my speech ability, because I chose a few answers in the beginning of the game, is good enough for me to actually, he doesn't get angry when I go and I choose the, you know, the good question or the good answer. I'm not too sure. It was not a question, it was like something I said to him, and so he didn't want to kick my ass. But usually what happens is you say something, and whatever you say is going to get angry and is going to want to kick your ass. And you know, that combat, like hand-to-hand combat, it lasts forever. And maybe they tweaked a few things so that hand-to-hand combat becomes a bit more realistic. Like, you know, if you get hit a bit too much, then you're out. But also, if you hit your opponent a bit, then things are going to be maybe quicker than what I've seen so far. But I don't know. Maybe it was just me being lucky. So that's the guy. I'm going to try to show you something that I've never actually managed to do. And one thing that could happen is if he comes back and he sees me sneaking into his house, is going to call the guards, and I'm going to end up in prison because I don't have money. So I'm not sure that's a good idea. But let's just see. Because that's one thing that I found was very difficult, is lockpicking. Because basically what you have to do is you need to find... And I'm not going to even find it.
Oh wow, yeah, that's...
And when you found the right spot, which I don't know why I can't seem to find it anymore. Oh, maybe we're here. When you find the right spot, yeah, you need to turn the lockpick, but you need to turn it at the same time with the two sticks.
Oh wow, okay.
And it's really tough. But the difference here is that before I mean, yesterday at least. And I failed. Okay, I'm not going to try again because I don't want to get spotted, but I'm going to ask my friends to kick his ass. But yesterday, I think the original position of the I don't know, the lockpick was much further away from where you're supposed to take it. So it's probably made it a little easier. And the thing is that it's the easy lockpicking thing. So I really need to get a hang of it. And the thing is, you cannot save whenever you want. So it's not like you can practice really. So I'm just going to talk to my friends.
So when can you save? Because that's a very big.
Sometimes you can save, and the thing is, there's apparently there's just one slot. So maybe there's one slot for manual save, and it's a different one from the other autosave thing. But the thing is, you can't do it anytime you want, which I think is also a problem because, you know, I know that there's some bugs can actually block progression from what I've heard. So I don't know if I know that when you load the game, you have at least 1 or 2, 3 options. Like, you know, if I choose it, like I have the beginning of the quest. So you know, there's always a way to sort of backtrack. It's not exactly backtrack, but you know, you load a previous save. But I wish we could actually save whenever we want when we're not in combat. Okay, that would just make sense. And maybe it's going to be you know, more possible after that, because this is the introduction. This is, you know, basically you doing, you know, running errands for your father. So why aren't you guys actually calling him? Okay. So you know, you're running errands for your father. You have a few things to do, and so maybe that's why I can do it. But like I said, I haven't played much. I actually finished the intro, and then I stopped because I had to pick up my kid at school. So you can actually, you know, like I said, sneak into his house, lockpick the safe, and take the things from him. You can try to, you know, take him down on your own, but you can also call your friends, and you can also, because, you know, like, he kicked my ass once, so I you know, I was in pretty bad shape, and then he walked away from me, so I sneaked behind him and I actually knocked him out. So that's another way. And this is one thing that I think is pretty well done, is there seems to be really several ways to tackle things, to do things. So now I have the keys, so it's a lot easier. And I'm going to take the axe that I know. Do I have it already? Yes, okay, I have it. So now I can use this to buy charcoal that my father needs. So let's trade, and I'm going to sell. So you know, the menu is a bit, you know, it's a bit complicated to understand everything in the beginning. I know that it's made so that it looks like old books from you know, at the time in the Middle Ages, maybe. The way, you know, the art style and everything, it's probably made to look this way, which I think is nice. But it's, you know, in the beginning, it's like, okay, what am I looking at? So everything that I don't need, I'm going to keep the lockpicks. Then you can buy, and I need 10. And then what you can do, you can check your basket and you can haggle.
Can we do something about the price? Sure, why not?
And there are, you know, many different things that apparently, you know, depending on the way how you're dressed. Also, if you have blood on you, people, you know, you should probably wash yourself before you go talk to people, because they're going to be scared. There are many things that, you know, you've never seen in other games, at least, you know, from what I know, and I think it's pretty cool. But then, obviously, because it's an independent studio, and, you know, I know there's like 100 people there, but it's it's clearly a game with ambition, but maybe they didn't have enough time, even though it's been 4 years. They started developing the game, and so I'm just hoping that if the game truly is worth it, the few next weeks will, you know, see enough updates to make it, you know, enjoyable, at least, you know, get rid of the bugs.
Yeah, that's the minimum we can expect.
So this guy is going to teach me a little bit about sword fighting, so you can see that it's also quite original the way it's tackled. It's probably slower than what you're used to getting in a video game, but I think it's you know, it might be interesting once I get the hang of it. Like, you know, I haven't actually fought anyone yet, because also the way you're dressed is very important. Like, you know, if your opponent is, you know, he's wearing an armor, and you're not going to, even if you're very good at, you know, using the sword, and by good just mean careful and you know when to hit and where. I mean, I don't think you have a chance. You stand a chance. So it's a game that seems to have a slow pace. It's, you know what I actually it reminded me of. It's like it's the Richard Burns Rally of first-person adventure game.
Wow.
For me, like, you know, that realistic look that, you know, Richard Burns Rally used to have, you know, when we first saw it, like, ooh, so nice, it looks like a real thing, like it's a real road.
Yeah, it looked good, but it was completely unplayable, so it's not...
Well, I wouldn't say it's not as demanding as Richard Burns Rally.
Hopefully, because I never managed to pass like 2 corners in Richard Burns Rally. It was a crazy game.
But for me, it's like a bit like that, like what they're trying to do.
That's a reference.
So here, so you have here is you have different position, you know, with the sword, like a bit like in For Honor, I guess. But here it's just asking me to move around, because moving is key, and you don't actually lose stamina when you just move around like that.
You have to put your weight into your attack. If you just fiddle around, you'll get nowhere.
But the thing is, yeah, like he's going to say, like, you need to change positions as often as you can if you when you hit, because otherwise your opponent is going to know basically where you're going to hit, and it's all about, you know, blocking and attacking. So you can slash, but you can also
what's the
stab.
The cross in the middle of your screen?
Well, that's my body, basically, where the you know, the position, like,
okay,
it's like
where the
left,
the sword is compared to
and then where
center?
where you're going to hit, basically.
Okay.
The direction, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the purple bar, which I think, if I remember correctly, is the life bar of your opponent. And then you have your life bar, of course. So chain stacked is you know, like combos, basically. And, you know, I guess, you know, with someone playing correctly, it could look pretty good, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too bad.
To me, it seems more realistic than what I've seen of the hand-to-hand combat, which, you know, sometimes can go a little crazy. But you know, maybe, like, it's just, you know, training, so maybe it will be different when there are a few guys in front of me. And from what I've, you know, understood, if you're up against more than one person, I mean, you're in trouble, which makes sense, I guess. I mean, the swords were heavy. You know, the main character is no Geralt of Rivia, so it's not going to dodge and roll around.
Is there magic and things like that?
No, there's no magic. It's actually based on history. Like, you know, Polish history, or not Polish. The you know,
Romanian? I don't know.
No, it's Bohemia, so it's Prague and I need to buy ale at the tavern. I think it's, you know, it's still very nice when you look at the details. It's not as impressive sometimes, like the, you know, like the stones of the rocks sometimes are, you know. But overall, I really think that the game looks good. And On Xbox One X, it looks good. It's just more pop-in issues than we're showing here on PC. I would say frame rate seems to be steady more, you know, most of the time, but I'm not too sure. But because the animations and the way the character moves makes it difficult to sometimes know if it's just the movement of the character or if it's, you know, there are a few drops here and there. So I'm going to aim for my father, but I need to be quick because if I don't do it quickly enough, it's not going to be cold enough for my father, so I'm going to have to come back because he said he wanted the ale to be fresh. So that's your, you know, girlfriend to be, or and I'm skipping everything. So one thing is with the animations also, everything takes time. Like, you know, opening a door. Like I said, it's very reminiscent of GTA 5 when in first-person view, and like picking up things like, you know, food, apples, takes forever. Not too sure was the best idea, you know. It's nice to see, I guess, but one thing also is the mapping of the buttons. It's odd that you know, running would be on the B button. Doesn't seem to make much sense, but it, you know, it works. So I need to go get something at the gate of the castle. You know, very nice view of the surroundings. By the way, oh, how did I end up here? Yeah. So these guys, they know me.
I'll be with you.
And I'm going to skip. I'm not going to talk about this Dutch guy. I could actually like write him out, but I'm not sure it's going to have any consequences. So now I need to bring back the crossguard to my father, who's a blacksmith and who's working on a very nice sword for the guy who lives there in the castle. And there's going to be a cutscene. I'm not going to show all of it, but, you know, so that you can see what I was talking about, that it's, you know, I actually find it interesting to, you know, to watch.
Good job. Let's have it then, son. Well done. Right. Let's see what
So maybe you turn the volume up a bit.
All right.
Lip sync is okay in English. It's awful in French, but you don't care. But French dubbing is pretty good from what I've heard. It's they went to get some, you know, famous voices in France, like, you know, the guy who's Ryan Gosling's voice in French, for example.
Well, he doesn't have to talk much then.
No, but he's also Elijah Wood's voice, so you know.
All right.
So maybe.
Because yeah, these two guys clearly have the same voice. Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, but you know, that's the thing.
Someone paid me a call. I reckon you might know what it was about.
I'm not sure.
Really? Because I'm pretty sure you and your friends threw dung at Deutsch's freshly whitewashed house. He was here with the catch.
So I'm getting scolded because of what I did, you know, with the dung and the house. If you don't do it, because you can't tell your friends you're not going to do it, you still get the, you know, the lecture somehow. But, you know, like he says, I don't know if you were part of it, it was just your friends, but, you know, this is not good. But the difference here is when you do it yourself, he asks you to go and apologize to him because it's not good for his trade. Although technically the thing is doesn't make a difference because you're not going to have time to apologize, because then things are going to go, you know, a bit crazy.
I understand. Good.
Okay, so Bovrits is asking, do you have to eat and sleep in the game?
You have to eat, and it's important you eat. And it's something that annoyed me a little bit. Like he seems to be hungry a lot. Because if you don't eat, then your speech skills and everything, like several things can be affected. And if you don't sleep also, like your endurance and everything, it's going to affect you. So you need to sleep, you need to eat. It's not a survival game, but I also find it interesting that they added that to make it, you know, more realistic, because usually you don't, well, you can sleep in Skyrim and Oblivion, but the reason is usually to get your health back and to wait until nightfall, or to wait until, you know, the next day. Here, you know, there are more things involved in the eating and the sleeping, and I think it's a pretty neat idea that you probably only can have when you're an independent studio, because there's not going to be some guy saying like, no, this is not a good idea, people are not going to want to do that, but maybe some people are going to be annoyed. So you also, I think it's pretty cool, is you get to see how they were like making swords, and I can't say if it's very accurate, but I would reckon that they did a bit of homework to be sure, at least to be sure that it's believable.
They didn't, yeah.
I'll prepare the guard.
So I don't know if I can skip part. Yeah, I'm going to do that, because then I have to get something for this girl. Oh, every time I want to run pressing the left analog stick, and it's this, you know, the sneak option. Can't seem to get used to the fact that I need to use B. So I'm going to take everything, basically. I don't know why, just in case. And you know, the settings I've chosen just before the live stream seems to be very good, because I haven't seen any drops so far.
Thanks.
I mean, I haven't felt any drops. I mean, there's the in-game counter you can see that I actually have activated. You don't have to use it, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to look at her go. Well, yeah, I'm looking at her. And I'm going to skip this part, because then there's the... You know...
Those days are gone, sir.
And I like the way it's, you know, it's directed. Compared to some games where, you know, it's very... You know, cutscenes can be boring, because it's always like, you know, you get to see one guy and then the other guy, and that's always the same camera angles. You know.
So, what good is a sword to a commoner?
Things.
Yeah, it's not Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, clearly, you know, it's just what I was talking about. You know, some things need to be taken care of in the game, I guess. But I think, you know, it's quite an achievement to have been able to do that. With the budget they
it's
had.
clear they cared. They did their best to do the best they could with the. Well, it's not a small team, but it's not a CD Projekt or Bethesda or something like that, and the ambition is basically the same. Oh.
Yeah. And, you know, like I said, you know,
something's happening
for the moment, and maybe it's just the beginning, and then, you know, the cutscenes are not interesting. But for the moment, the cutscenes I've seen, whether it's just, you know, father and son talking, or here, I've found them enjoyable.
Very Lord of the Ring. The way it was shown, yeah, with this big, large camera shot.
And the arrows.
Yeah. Not that it's a bad thing. As long as it's not the Hobbit.
So basically this is all cutscene. So I'm just going to skip. I'm going to show that a little bit, because that's of course when the story really begins. It's like, you know, I also like the fact that it don't need to like exaggerate how it's, you know, going on. Like he's not going to be beheaded, or it's, you know, it doesn't seem like okay, he shouldn't die, because, you know, the way he was you know, hit by the sword doesn't seem to be too hard. But I guess in reality, you know, you don't need to hit too hard to actually kill someone with such a sword. So he's going to run away, but but it's too late, you know, they want to protect the castle, so you have to warn the nearby town that those guys are coming and that they need to be prepared, and well, maybe send someone for her, you know, to help them back here because they're going to be under siege. And this is a scene that I had to play several times on Xbox One.
Okay, so very, very sorry.
It's a good thing that
I forgot I was not in studio mode, so I was preparing the French
just
text.
take a look, very nice. Okay, I can't show you too much because there's someone behind me running after me, and quite clearly there's no way I can actually fight. There's also something interesting is that if I make it, there's going to be a conversation after that with a woman, and there's the Henry is going to mention this, so like what's going on the right here in this farm or this windmill, I think it is, and like you can lie and say you went to the woman's rescue, or you can simply say the truth, and I guess, you know, it's going to have consequences somehow on the kind of person you are. You're a liar, or you're just an honest person, but I don't think you can actually go save her because she's been attacked by like several guys in armor, and I've been chased, so I don't think there's any way I can actually, you know, you can see like she's over there, and it's quite, you know, like knowing that I'm going to mention her, but I'm not going to be able to help her. So your objective is to get a horse here, and to reach the town. And for some reason, the second part of this sequence after the cutscenes we're going to see in a few seconds, I guess, I never managed to actually, every time I was, you know, so Henry is going to get wounded here. And again, you know, I like the way it's done.
Yeah, it's I don't like the shader that's on the skin. It doesn't look right, but everything else is very nice.
Yeah, it's more exciting than many of the openings in, you know, in Skyrim and everything. So to me at least. And so basically, what you have to do here is you have to. Oh, someone talking to me on Steam. You have to just run away, and there's just the one road. And every time I was, I don't know, I was not doing it right. I guess probably because the horse was not going fast enough. I'm going to try and use the. It's not really off-road sort of horse, so it's a bit clunky sometimes. But that's the way I made it on Xbox One. So unless, you know, there was also sort of glitch that made it too easy for my opponents to actually reach me. Yeah, it was a bit frustrating because I had to do this sequence 3 or 4 times, you know, from the moment I was trying to escape the castle, because I was just pressing the button and trying to escape, but every time they just got me, and I don't understand. I didn't understand why.
It's annoying, yeah.
So apparently here it's you know, it's going. Okay.
Oh, you took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah, I know. I'm hurt, but I can't. Oh
no. Oh wow, you didn't get the reference.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's Burrit's on the chat too. Yeah, it wasn't far from the knee.
So a little bit of pop in, but I like the way the.
Oh yeah, we've got 5 minutes left, by the way.
So I should be okay now, because usually I never actually got killed at this point. It's just that before, I don't know why. Maybe I was doing something the wrong way, or maybe there was a bug, or because every time they just they killed me. So another cutscene.
yeah, no, the guy in charge of the camera clearly cared about what he was doing, because he had a lot of very nice angles and well, things like that. Yeah, it's very good. It's rare to see a game with such well, cinematic. It can be seen as a bit of a sarcastic word, especially for PC gamers, but in that case, no, it's just a very well. It's just like a movie director would do, and yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, it's just, you know, that's why I said that the story to me seems to be pretty engaging. You know, I don't know if, you know, it will live up to my expectations. Maybe not, but you want to keep playing because, you know, it's not that you care about the main character, because like I said, it's not the most charismatic character ever.
It's a bit of a blank state.
But you know, it's like you care about the world, which I think is probably the most important thing. So if, you know, if the game is not too, you know, my experience is not plagued with bugs and, you know, bugs that will actually prevent me from moving forward. If performance, you know, and like I said, you know, not everything is maxed out, but many of the things are, and just the sliders that I was careful with, but the way it's been running ever since we started the live stream, I'm pretty happy with it. Now, sure, I guess I could expect maybe the game to be a little less demanding in you know, when running at 1080p. Sure, but I'll see. You know, maybe I'll find tweaks or things, or maybe they'll just release updates, or there'll be guides that will just tell me like some things are probably. I know the lightning clearly is the one option to lower down immediately if you start playing. Because that's you know, frame rate takes a big hit when you max it out.
The arrow missed the bone. It only needed bandaging, and I've done that often enough before. War is a good teacher. Can you stand?
Didn't hear, like, you know, the way he actually stood up with his leg was pretty well done.
No, good motion capture. You know, it's very nice.
They actually have their own motion capture studio in you know, at Warhorse Studios, because it was cheaper than to actually, you know, rent one for the time they needed it. And also here, you know, everything like the dog yawning, that was cool. I don't know why. You know.
Well, the details.
Yeah, like I said, you know, it's the Richard Burns of, you know, first-person adventure games.
Boy, what exactly? Did you see the inside?
I'm pretty sure you're only one in the world who compared these two games.
I don't know why. Probably because, you know, how I felt with first.
Maybe the color palette. The color palette.
Yeah,
maybe,
the color palette, like the you know, the lush vegetation and everything. And just like, ooh, it looks like I'm in the countryside. Ooh, I'm so glad. Although I could just go outside and, you know, take a walk outside and enjoy the countryside myself. But yeah, it's like it's in the game. It looks so real. I knew this guy, the old guy. Also, I like, you know, like it looks real somehow.
He said they came to Hungary from the east, and now they're the core of his army.
So yeah, I don't know if you got anything more to show, because
well, I don't know, because that's basically where I stopped. So on Xbox One. So no, I would say that the console version is you know, it looks well. Just check out the videos. It's probably the best way to see what you can expect. But yeah, there's more pop-in that is more visible, even, you know, when horse riding. But frame rate seemed okay. I had like one sort of freeze in the town in the beginning for a few seconds. Don't know why. I know that Dafton did not experience any yesterday night, but it, you know, didn't play much. But he was in the town, so I don't know what it was.
He could have been drunk too. So
you can actually get drunk in the game also, which can give you like you get better at, you know, speaking to people. But if you do too much, like there are consequences consequences the next day that you might not enjoy. So you know, I think they're a nice idea. So I don't know how they're going to play out in the game, if they are annoying or if they're if they're well integrated into a video game. But I think it's pretty interesting to see what they try to do, like the realism pushed to the limit, like for every single thing in the game. So might be interesting to see. But yeah, that was a game I was looking forward to, especially in February. There was Shadow of the Colossus, but which was not a new game. There was Crossing Souls basically, and this one. So let's just hope I won't be too annoyed by the bugs, or that I'll be patient enough maybe to wait. I know that I think they said that the next big patch should be before the next 2 weeks, but I don't know if they also mean on PC or if they were talking about the console versions, which you cannot release your patch whenever you want. You need the approval from Sony and Microsoft. So yeah,
as usual.
They're working hard on it, and just hope that from what I've seen, I know the complaints are mostly about the bugs and the performance, and so if they can actually make it better, a lot of people are going to enjoy it, but also a lot of people would just don't find it maybe fun because it's not an Elder Scrolls game at all.
No, well, no magic, no fantasy. Maybe some people really.
Yeah, and maybe a bit
dry.
too realistic in some departments. For them to, less like a bit less arcadey than the Elder Scrolls, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we are done.
Yes.
Well, next live, I guess, sometimes in March.
Yeah, maybe end of February if there's anything we want to share. I don't know, but yeah, probably more in March than anything else. I'll be away for a week on vacation next week, and then I'll be back. But I don't think there's anything particularly incredible coming at the end of February.
Yeah,
and there's Gravel, the racing game from Milestone, which but it's like it's an arcade sort of racing game, and it looks pretty good from what I've seen. So who knows? But yeah, it's not going to be a big AAA that everyone's going to be wanting to see.
Okay, so I'll see you next time.
Yeah, and thanks for watching or for being here with us tonight. We appreciate.
Yeah, bye-bye.
That's in.